Right, hi again. Now, I've just been through a heap of collars trying to find one that plays up for us because some people have been having trouble getting the collars to turn on. And I've been through quite a few and I've found this one, which is a good example of what our problems are. If I try to turn this collar on by pressing and holding the button for 3 seconds, no noise. Okay, we should hear 2 beeps. We'll do that again. Right, no beeps. We can get the light to flash by moving our thumb around as we showed you earlier, and we probably could turn it on by pushing it up there as well. No, this one's not going to turn on. Now the trick is, put it down on a good firm surface, like this table, and with something that's nice and firm, we're going to push the button in. Doing it this way, we're going to eliminate any chance of getting or creating switch bounce with the tip of our finger, the soft skin on your finger and the muscle. So we go down, so we get everything nice and firm, and we push it down. Nothing. Don't be disappointed, try again. And there we've got our 2 beeps. So if it doesn't work the first time, just try again. Nice firm surface, make sure there's no rock or anything else like that, and just give it a nice quick firm push. There's the beep to say it's off. Wait 3 seconds, and the beep to say it's on. Now you can do that with your thumb all day with this particular collar, and only about 1 in 5 times it'll turn on. There we go, 3 seconds up, no beep, so it hasn't turned on. And again, it's the soft part of your finger and that too soft the rubber switch are combining to get what we call switch bounce. So if this is the little rubber washer, there's the 2 contacts for the switch. You press it down, make it contact, whoops, everything's fine. But what's happening in reality is this. When you press this contact down, it comes down and bounces. Comes down like that. Now we can't hear that because that's happening in probably 1 millisecond, but these little computers are fast enough to detect that double bounce. So what they're thinking is happening is on the first contact it comes up, down like that in super slow motion. It's picking up that first contact, then release, and assuming you wanted to change collar level. Then the switch keeps on bouncing and that just totally confuses it then. So that's what we're trying to prevent, is that switch bounce. Right? So by doing it like this, pressing down and holding, there's the beep, you're reducing that switch bounce. You're making up for that rubber button being too soft. And why it's too soft is simply because it's brand new. Well, it's not been out of the factory long. That's why some collars don't do it. If it's old stock fences that you've received, then that switch is starting to stiffen. That rubber has cured and it's a lot stiffer. But on the new fresh batch of collars, often that little rubber switch in there, and we can pull that out and I'll show you. I'll have a pair of pliers, we'll pop it out. Right, that little piece of rubber in there, up in here, I'll point to it with a screwdriver, is just so soft and new, right, that when the switch is being pressed, and the switch is down in here, no, you'll never be able to see that, you might be able to, but you'll see this collar will switch on 100% reliably if I hit the switch directly with something. See, it'll change modes and it'll turn on 100% reliably. What's causing the problem is that little rubber thing they've got in there, and obviously that's to keep the collar waterproof. It's a nice soft rubber, but it's too soft when it's new, and that's causing problems with some people's collars being difficult to turn on. All right, because it's causing switch bounce. Now we'll go on and have a look at what happens if that doesn't work. There are other ways by moving our thumb around, and I'll show you that in a second. Okay. One other quick thing I want to show you is with this collar, I just want you to watch the light and listen to the sound when we turn it on. Right, when you hear that one little short beep and a quick flash of the light, that's an absolute sure sign that the battery's faulty, flat, or whatever. Okay, so if you get that single beep when you're trying to turn them on, you can guarantee the battery's run down. It could be a faulty battery. This is where you've got to make sure you get your batteries in somewhere that's got a pretty high turnover of batteries to make sure you get a fresh one. Because often these 9-volt batteries can stay in a shop shelf for months at a time and they're almost flat when you get them. Okay? Now we'll see, one of the biggest problems we've had is people not being able to turn them on. When you turn them on, give them a good, quick, firm press, and you should hear it go beep twice like that to let you know that it's turned on successfully. You can change the levels now with the collar on, and you'll see how the light's not flashing. This is one of the problems with the collar we'll talk about in a moment. To get that light to flash is a whole secret of these collars. I'm going to push my thumb that way as I press in. Nothing. You'll see that it's not working. Works. It's on level 3, it flashed 3 times. I'm trying to press my thumb sideways as I do it. I'm trying to put side pressure with my thumb, or up and down pressure, left or right, up or down, to try and make the switch contact without bouncing. So you see that by pulling slightly towards me with this collar, I'm getting it to switch fine. It's on level 1 now, which means, so put the collar down on a firm surface and press it with something. And there we've got the beep. So there's a couple of things you can do. Try using that pressure with your thumb as you're pressing down, or put it on a firm surface and press it down with something firm. That will stop the switch bouncing, or will reduce switch bounce. Now with this collar is a very good example. I'll press the button as straight down as I can, and you'll see that the light doesn't flash. Okay, you can hear it clicking, but nothing. Now putting slight down pressure or up pressure or side pressure with my thumb, we'll see if that changes things. Right, so pushing down pressure's worked. The other thing is to press it in quickly and firmly, straight in, and that often works. Nothing, nothing. This one definitely needs pressure. There's up pressure, nothing. Side pressure, nothing. Down pressure, nothing. And right pressure, pushing pressure this way has made it work. So you've just got to fiddle, and now we know to turn it on, just put a bit of side pressure on there as we hold the button in. And there's the beep to say it was just turned off because it was on. So again, to turn it on, pull a bit of side pressure with this particular collar, press the button in, wait a few seconds, and there's the 2 beeps to tell us it's on. Now we can set the level. There's level 1, level 2, level 3, and that'll go right through to level 5. And on level 5, the 5 flashes now. The next flash will be 1. It goes back to 1 again and cycles around like that. So just get the collar, work out by pressing the buttons up, down, left, right, force, which way you have to hold it, put pressure to it to make it work. And this one we now know we have to put a little bit of pressure that way. So I'm pulling the thumb towards me as I'm pressing, and the same to turn it off. There you go, it's gone. So that's it. To get your collar to turn on, try and find out which way you have to press. So basically you just have to sit there and work out which way you have to press that, force that switch to make it work, and use that. The other big thing too, of course, once you've got them set, you don't ever have to turn the collar off. They use very little power. When you take them off the dog at night or whatever, don't bother turning them off because they use very little power and they're not doing anything. The only time they use power is when they're actually producing the shock or making the warning sounds. Now if you happen to lose the button, the little rubber cover for the switch, all's not lost. If you look down inside the hole where the button was in here, you can still see the switch, and we can press that switch, you see, with a pen or whatever you can fit in there, and then just put a piece of insulation tape or some sort of tape across there to keep the water out of the collar. Alright. There's also times when the collars, the little computer in the collar will actually crash, just like your normal computer will crash when you're using it sometimes. These can get confused and crash, and one of the things that causes them to crash is when I send them in the post with the battery in. I leave the battery in, it's so much easier for my customers if I've already got the battery installed and they know I've tested it and everything else. But some of the electronics in the post office, it seems, like the scanners and sorting machines and what have you, are actually causing the computer in here to crash because it's getting all sorts of weird signals it doesn't know how to deal with. If your collar crashes, if you can tell, if you've tried everything, you're pressing the button and you're not getting a light, you've tried the different positions with your thumb and it's still dead, remove the battery, leave it out disconnected for about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes to make sure, and reconnect it. That will reset the computer. But the battery has to be disconnected for about 10 to 15 minutes and it'll reset. Right, so this one we know we've got to go that way. So once you get the knack, and I mean you only got to do it once you've got the collar turned on, you've got it set to your right setting, you don't ever have to do it again.